Hello, I'm Dr. Gary Arnold with Newsfluencers. Here are 6 amazing life and business lessons that I've learned during this pandemic. The first is that the coronavirus pandemic necessitated all kinds of changes over the past month and has given me time to think. Now, there are things on my bucket list that just weren't there before this stay-at-home order. So the first thing that I learned is that using Zoom or Skype to stay in touch is easy, and it's as valuable as face-to-face meetings. The second thing I learned is that isolation just isn't cool. I'm going to stay in touch with my clients and prospects better. One study involving over 200 people quarantined during the SARS epidemic found that about 30% of those respondents showed signs of depression. Well, I'm going to improve my reaching out to friends and family and clients. The third thing I learned is that time just isn't my problem. This stay-at-home order showed me that having insufficient time had long been my default excuse when I was unable to begin or complete tasks. Well, this stay-at-home order gave me plenty of extra time that I could have used to handle any of hundreds of projects that I'd set aside over the last year or two. And it turns out that even with plenty of time to spare, the only thing stopping me from starting or completing a task was the level of priority that I gave it. And then I needed to just click that checkbox on my daily to-do list and begin it. Well, as it turns out, I'd only been deceiving myself all along. Things get done because I decide to do them. That's it. It's as simple as that. Insufficient time just isn't the problem. The reality is I'm going to complete whatever priority I choose to act on. So for me, this stay-at-home order proved that my inability to complete long-standing projects like reading a specific book or writing a book or learning a language or learning new code or a new software program. Ultimately, it's because any lack of time or my rigid schedule is only an excuse. The truth is, these tasks hadn't been completed because I just wasn't passionate enough about them. I didn't have a healthy obsession about them so that they were on the top of my priority list. So I've learned that when I have a burning passion for something, it gets done. That's what I need to do. Prioritize it. I find the time, I make the time to do it, whether or not that time is abundant. The fourth thing I learned is I can better prepare for the worst case scenario. This stay-at-home order showed me that I'd long been complacent in my forecasting. I'm now going to frequently ask, what's the worst that can happen? And then I'm going to prepare accordingly. So I work with several military personnel and a few city planners, and one of the things that I've learned from their training is that they prepare for a worst case scenario as standing operating procedure. In the future, I'm going to also. The fifth thing I learned is that I believe the nation's healthcare workers, the EMTs, the nursing homes, the staff workers, the hospitals and doctors and nurses, psychologists, social workers, nurse practitioners, well, I think they should get Time Magazine's Person of the Year award. And I hope that Time Magazine right now is preparing that cover shot. And lastly, the COVID-19 pandemic vividly showed me that the high-risk groups were more vulnerable to this virus. That meant that older people with pre-existing medical conditions like asthma, diabetes, heart disease, cancer, people who are overweight or have high blood pressure, they were the most at risk. So during the stay-at-home order, my wife and I ordered takeout 2 or 3 times a week, and we rarely exercised, even though one of the rooms in our house is totally dedicated to exercise equipment. Needless to say, I didn't lose weight and I didn't gain my chisel 6-pack abs during this home quarantine. So I'm going to learn from that, and for the umpteenth time, I'm going to start dieting and exercising to get back into shape. This pandemic reminded me that staying in shape is a lifelong priority. So those are my 6 takeaways that I learned from this pandemic. As the stay-at-home order is just about to be lifted, the new normal is about to begin. And that new normal may or may not naturally make things better. But one thing is for sure, I can seize this moment and apply all of these insights that I've learned during this long forced break. I can seize this new normal, and as this new chapter unfolds, I can create something better. So did these 6 points resonate with you? Or do you have your own list of things that you've learned during this stay-at-home order? If so, email me. I'd love to hear from you. I'm Dr. Gary Arnold, and this is Newsfluencers.